When it comes to the Batman Arkham series, audiences generally agree that most entries are very good. There are a few exceptions, though. It seems like anytime Warner Brothers has dipped their toe into creating cash grabs dependent upon the Arkham name and brand to sell, the quality suffers greatly. Entries in the Arkham series that are usually considered to be the weaker entries include a lot of the tie-in comics, a lot of the tie-in apps like Arkham Underworld and Arkham City Lockdown, Arkham VR from 2016, which felt like it was just trying to cash in on the VR craze of that year, especially with the release of the PlayStation VR. Most recently, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is technically the sequel to Arkham Knight. Most of us don't really consider it a true Arkham game, but if you do, that's probably at the bottom of your list. There is another game in the Arkham series that a lot of Arkham fans have not played, and those who have generally walk away not feeling like it's a particularly strong entry, and that is Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. Not to be confused with the main Arkham game of 2013 that sold on consoles, Batman Arkham Origins, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate was a handheld spin-off. It acts as a sequel that takes place 3 months after the events of the main game. When Blackgate was ported over to PC and consoles with higher textures, I jumped at the chance to play a new Arkham game, even though it was in a side-scrolling format, which deviates from the 3D mechanics of the traditional Arkham games. Now, this is one of those rare titles that admittedly I started a number of times but have only completed once. Generally, I start the game, I really enjoy the opening mission, and then I burn out pretty quickly once the game gets into its main section, and I'm going to explain why. I'm also going to break down whether I think this game is underrated, whether I think it's worth your time if you're an Arkham fan, and whether I regret my time playing the game. Before I get into it, I'd love to hear from you if you have played Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate or watched the cutscenes on YouTube or something. How do you feel about the game? Do you think it tells a compelling story? Do you think it's underrated? Or do you think it's comfortably ranked as one of the weaker entries of the series? Also, if you enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe for more content like this. But without any further ado, let's dive right in. The opening mission, in my opinion, is the best of the entire game. It does everything that a handheld Arkhamverse tie-in should do. It reimagines the combat and stealth and traversal into a fun side-scrolling chase sequence. It retains enough DNA from the Arkham gameplay loop to feel like an authentic Arkham experience, but in some ways it also feels like a faster-paced level from the original LEGO Batman, where you're working your way through a linear level, chasing one of Batman's villains and fighting their henchmen along the way. This opening mission also happens to be Batman's first encounter with Catwoman in the Arkham series, which makes it feel like a truly iconic moment, and it's done justice. The voice actors from the console games return, which adds real authenticity to the narrative beats. Honestly, I wish this is what the whole game had been. Various locations around Gotham City where we got to see the origins and first encounters with some of Batman's iconic Rogues Gallery members. It would have been really cool to get a Batman game that was essentially the Arkham equivalent to the LEGO Batman gameplay and level structure, but unfortunately that is not what Arkham Origins Blackgate is. After this opening mission, you are treated to the rest of the game. From a gameplay perspective, Arkham Origins Blackgate falls flat, in my opinion, because it tries to emulate too much from the console games. The opening mission works because it adapts the mechanics that work for the handheld experience. Once you get to Blackgate, the game tries to bring over features that don't really suit this format. Navigating through the creepy hallways of environments in the console games works because you have an over-the-shoulder view and a very detail-oriented location. The map of Arkham Origins Blackgate is sorely lacking in Easter eggs and things to see. It feels like a generic concrete prison, with really only the Joker section feeling like it has any personality to it. You're also treated to a very zoomed-out, faraway view. You don't feel like you're a detective with Batman looking over his shoulder. You feel like you're watching everything from a bird's eye view. Narratively, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate is essentially just a retelling of Batman Arkham Asylum, just without Joker as the main villain, and it takes place at Blackgate instead of the Asylum. Basically, a bunch of Batman's most dangerous foes have escaped during a riot at Blackgate, and as Batman, you must bring order back to the facility. The main objective is for Batman to get into the Arkham wing with the help of Catwoman. In order to do so, he will need to take down Penguin, Joker, and Black Mask, and he will encounter Bronze Tiger, Solomon Grundy, and Deadshot along the way. One feature that I actually really like the concept of that was implemented into Blackgate is that you as Batman get to choose which which threat to go after first. It feels like you as Batman get to assess which threat you think is the most dangerous and needs to be stopped the fastest, and you get to pursue that first. Sadly, there's no real consequences to this, so your choice doesn't really matter. I think it alters what the final cutscene is slightly, but nothing that's really worth replaying the game multiple times to see the different outcomes to. As you start to navigate through Blackgate, you'll realize that this game is very reliant upon backtracking in order to extend its runtime. You'll be chasing down a villain and you'll get to a ravine that is way too far to jump or even glide across. Batman will say, I need the line launcher to get across this, and now you have to backtrack through this confusing rendition of Blackgate to find the line launcher. The hilarious narrative reason that all of these gadgets are scattered around the prison is because Bruce Wayne sent them over to aid in the construction of the prison. Why a regular construction worker would need a line launcher, I have no idea. We now also have to wonder why the citizens of Gotham can't put two and two together. Who is Batman, this mysterious figure who's using all of Bruce Wayne's technology? In any case, like I mentioned, Blackgate isn't really fun to navigate around. It's really confusing, and not in a fun way where you feel like you're getting lost into the madness. You just feel like you're getting lost. It doesn't help that the game tries to shoehorn in side missions. It has investigations that you can go look at, and it has non-required collectibles to pick up, but really this just makes the map even more confusing. I wish it had been far more straightforward to navigate through. You will encounter traps along the way, which are just frustrating. They don't add to the fun of the experience, and sometimes you'll meet a dead end. You'll just find that there seems to be no way to progress. You'll remember that there's this scan tool, and it will say, hey, look, there's a weak wall that you can put explosive gel on. One thing about the main console games that I appreciate is the visual cues in the environment. If in Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, it wants you to put explosive gel on a weak wall, it has a different texture for the wall. It shows to you that it is weak. In Arkham Origins Blackgate, there's this arbitrary scanning tool, again, just to extend the gameplay runtime. Now, between these long sections of very meandering, boring gameplay, you do encounter a really fun puzzle or a really unique boss fight. Like the Deadshot boss fight, you get to play the whole thing from the perspective of Deadshot's scope. That was a really cool idea. I know this is kind of a hot take. Most people don't like the Joker boss fight of this game, but I thought it was kind of unique in that the game has a very particular way that it wants you to take down Joker, and you have to learn the timing of how to do so successfully through trial and error. The puzzle to free Warden Joseph is kind of fun and interesting. It's not great, but it's definitely better than most of the moment-to-moment gameplay. I will say, though, that even from a premise perspective, I wish that they'd gone with a different story. Retreading ground that was already covered in Arkham Asylum in a less interesting way just does not hit in the way that I'd like it to. This also marks the third Blackgate riot in like 3 months, which, true, makes it clear that Arkham Asylum is needed as a facility and sets a precedent for why that asylum is built for the events of Arkham Asylum, but it's also pretty embarrassing from a prison infrastructure standpoint. As I worked through Act 2 of Arkham Origins Blackgate, which is by far the longest act of the story where you're trying to take down these 3 villains, I was just waiting to get to the Arkham Wing. They were building it up and teasing that it could be a really cool final mission of the game. I was hopeful that there would be a really cool final chase or set piece or boss fight or even just a really cool story revelation that added to the Arkham vs. lore. You get to the Arkham Wing and find that Bane is being held there. Catwoman reveals that she just needed your help to get into the wing so that she could free Bane. And when you say, well, I'm gonna stop you, she says, well, actually, with the help of Joker, I've planted like 5 bombs around Blackgate. So no, you don't get a boss fight with Bane. No, you don't get another really cool chase with Catwoman. Instead, you are slowly backtracking around Blackgate Prison with no time sensitivity to the mission as you disarm bombs. You then get to the final boss fight of Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. Is it Bane? Is it Joker again? Is it Scarecrow? Is it anyone cool? No, it's Catwoman again. Someone that you already defeated at the beginning of the game. And this boss fight is just a rinse and repeat of that initial one without the cool chase preceding it. The final thing that you learn is that this whole riot at Blackgate was incited by Amanda Waller and Rick Flag so that while Batman and the authorities were distracted with the chaos, they could quietly extract potential candidates for Task Force X. This was a little confusing considering that Amanda Waller is usually established as working with the government and having authority to do what she does, and it feels like she's almost doing this illegally in this game, but that's okay. It's kind of a cool setup, and it was an interesting tease for a Suicide Squad game that ultimately never happened. For anyone who's unaware, long before Rocksteady touched the Suicide Squad IP, Warner Bros. Games Montreal was actually developing a Suicide Squad game, and it likely would have been a sequel to Batman Arkham Origins. At the end of Batman Arkham Origins on consoles, Deathstroke was being recruited by Amanda Waller, or at least supposedly he was being recruited. We didn't get to see if he accepted or declined the offer. And then in Arkham Origins Blackgate, we got to see that doubled down upon. Amanda Waller is clearly intent on building her team. We even got Batman Assault on Arkham, an animated film that told a Suicide Squad adventure set between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum. At the time of release, I think it was pretty much considered canon. Nowadays, it's been retconned enough with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that I don't know that it is canon anymore. But needless to say, there was a ton of clear build-up to a Suicide Squad game set between Origins and Asylum, and we do know that Suicide Squad was one of the projects that Warner Bros. Games Montreal was working on before they rebooted their approach and reworked some of their ideas into Gotham Knights. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate is an interesting piece of that Suicide Squad setup. We get further establishment of who might have been on the roster of the Suicide Squad. We get more development for Amanda Waller and Rick Flag, and we even see that Batman is starting to investigate Amanda Waller and Rick Flag a little bit. He's suspicious of their motives. Sadly, some of this cool Suicide Squad setup isn't enough to save the game itself. I don't hate Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, but I have a hard time recommending it to anybody. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it took me many tries to get through the entire game because I found myself getting bored and burned out of it. There is no character arc for Batman here. That complaint that a lot of people throw at Arkham Asylum, that Batman has no character arc, that I personally disagree with, I do think could be levied against Arkham Origins Blackgate. Catwoman similarly doesn't have a character arc. At the beginning of the game, Batman and Catwoman are kind of in this flirty dynamic, but they don't trust each other and are fighting, and at the end of the game, they're in kind of this flirty dynamic, but don't trust each other and are fighting. There is no development or growth between these two main characters of this story. Batman doesn't learn anything new or interesting about himself or the world around him. And while there are a few creative boss fights and encounters and puzzles and moments that truly do capture that Arkham magic, that really only equates to about 20 or 30% of the game. The other 70 to 80% are boring backtracking missions or really slow, tedious processes that you have to perform to continue. As a result, I really wouldn't say the game is underrated. I do think it's one of the weaker entries in the series. I feel like I can really only recommend it to you if you're a huge diehard Arkham fan who really wants to experience a fresh story in the Arkham series. I do think you'll get some enjoyment out of it, not as much as you would with a new console release, but there's some enjoyment to be had here. As a huge Arkham fan myself, do I feel like it was a waste of time? Well, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't really regret playing this game, but I also don't think I would have missed anything by sitting this one out. With all that being said, that's going to be my video for you guys today. Again, please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know what you think of Arkham Origins Blackgate in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you guys in the next one.